everyone, welcome to YAM Teens. Today we're going to take a look at Brooke Atherton's exhibition, Mothers and Daughters. Now Brooke is a local Billings artist and she uses things that she finds in her house or outside to create her artwork. So let's go in and take a look at some of my favorite works. Now, like I said, Brooke Atherton is a found object artist. She takes anything that she can find in her house, outside, things that she's had for a while, things that she just found on the ground, and she puts them into her artwork. Now, this particular piece happens to be her mother's wedding dress. And she used this dress along with a coat from her childhood to create this piece of artwork.
So as we take a look on the inside of this dress, you'll notice all the things that she's included. The imprints of leaves, parts of books or magazines. She's used a technique where she's burned holes into it. She's also found other things that you might find at your house, like doilies, old records, lost puzzle pieces. And one of my favorites, the "I'm going to do what I please" section. Maybe it's a magazine cutout. One of the other things that Brooke does is she likes to draw with thread. So she'll stitch all these things in and use the thread for the lines.
Now, one of the other things that you might notice is that there's a grid inside of this dress. One of the things that Brooke did in her early adult life was she worked in an archaeological dig site where they were excavating an ancient village. So you can see that grid that the archaeologist would use to lay out on the land and how it influenced her work specifically in this piece, but also in some of her other works. One of my other favorite pieces in Brooke's exhibition is this work on this wall. And it has such a great title. It's called Orange, Red, and Fugitive Blue. Now from far away, you can't see everything that she used, but as you get up closer, you'll start to notice all of the tiny little details. And using this as our inspiration, let's go down and let's create our own found object work of art. Now I've gathered a bunch of different things here to use for my found object artwork. I've got a canvas. This one happens to be open on the back, so that if I wanted to stitch into it, I could. But you could also use a piece of cardboard, a canvas board, anything really that you can add stuff to that's sturdy enough that you could add a bunch of stuff to. I've also got a bunch of different types of paper, some sheets that were from an old dictionary, an old calendar, and a bunch of other random papers. I've also got a few things that I've found around the studio, some buttons and Legos and beads, anything that you can find in your house or outside. And then I've also got two different types of glue, but you could really use just one. I've got some Mod Podge for adding in paper, and then also some tacky glue when I go to add in my bigger items, and a brush to paint it on with. I've also grabbed a needle and some embroidery thread, just in case I decide I want to sew in anything into my artwork. So I'm gonna start here by creating my background, and I'm gonna put paper in my background to begin with. I've got this interesting dictionary paper. I kind of like the texture that all the lines give. I have also got some calendar pages and also just some other interesting papers, but you could use any type of paper that you wanted, or fabric would also work. Brooke Atherton used a lot of quilts in her designs. Now, when I do this, I'm just gonna use Mod Podge to put my paper down with a brush or a foam brush. Either one would work to kind of get that glue down on your page. And I'm gonna just start by kind of brushing it. I'm gonna cover most of it. It dries kind of fast, but not so fast that you won't have a little bit of time to work with it. I think I'm gonna start with my dictionary pages. And I kind of like tearing these pieces. I feel like it gives it a really interesting look. Might get a little gluey, and that's okay too. Sometimes I'll put a little bit on top just so it really sticks down. Brooke's work has a lot to do with layers too. So as I'm choosing these different papers, layering them on top of one another, it gets more and more interesting. I'm gonna let that dry before I move on, and then I'm gonna think about all the other things that I might want to add in here. Now that it's dry, or at least mostly dry, I'm gonna think about adding in some of these other elements. Now I kind of love these buttons, and I'm wondering if I can use them as kind of repeating shape. One of the things that Brooke Atherton thought about a lot is kind of the memories that these things brought up. And when I use buttons, I always think about my great-grandmother. She had buckets and buckets of buttons. I wish I would have kept them. Could have made a lot of art out of those buttons. I think I'm gonna start kind of cascading these buttons down my page here. I'm gonna lay it out before I glue it on. I might start to bring in some of these other elements as well. gonna keep going until I've kind of satisfied with my composition. Then I'm going to use my tacky glue. Oop. Just start gluing these things down. They're mostly dry. I'm going to start adding kind of in my last element, which is drying with thread. So I'm going to use a piece of just some regular embroidery thread and a thicker needle. It's a little bit thicker than usual. And I'm going to use that to kind of add in some other elements to my artwork here. So I've used that hollow canvas. So I'm actually just going to pop up my needle right through the back and then right back down through my canvas. Now I can use it to attach different pieces, give them a little bit more security. I can use it to draw something completely different. It's up to you completely. Whoops, my Legos aren't quite dry yet. And so on and so forth until you like what you have. Now, this is another piece that I completed in that same way that's fully done. And I've used many of the same elements, the buttons, the paper, the thread, anything that you can find. So I hope that you enjoy creating your own found object artwork at home. And truly, you can use anything that you can find around your house or go for a walk and pick things up. It's completely up to you what you want to put into your artwork. I hope you join us again next month for YAM Teens. Again, it's the second Wednesday of every month on Facebook. We hope to see you all soon. And we'd love to see anything that you create using this project. We'd love to see how your artworks turn out. You can share with us on Facebook. You can always email me at outreach@artmuseum.org if you have any questions or would like to share anything. See you all soon.